Hello everyone, this is Chaff Commander Coffee, back with another episode of my 0AD multiplayer replay commentaries. Today we're going to be taking a look at a game I played. It was a team game. It was 3v3 and it included quite a high level player, and I was on the same flank as this player. Which would be Hannibal Barca. I think Hannibal Barca is currently ranked 29 on the leaderboards. So yeah, a pretty solid player for sure. It was on mainland with 150 population, so pretty standard stuff. And because it's quite standard, I think it'll be really good to take a look at the strategy that has become, to my knowledge, quite common in 0AD. It's one of the more common strategies you will see, which is a javelin cavalry rush. Now, in this particular case, Hannibal Barca was actually playing the Romans, and so used lancer cavalry. But the premise is still the same, effectively using your citizen cavalry and building them up early on to strike your opponent in a potentially very powerful attack, thus leaving their economy crippled and really giving you an advantage. And I did get hit pretty hard by his early cavalry attack. It was pretty nasty, but I managed to slingshot myself back into the game with some careful economy management, and actually eventually towards the end of the game begin to push the tables back on Hannibal Barca. Which I was really surprised by. It was quite impressive, really. But we did end up losing because my allies just couldn't hold on to the other flank that Temic 5 was on. This is one of the players that I played with in a 1v1 this game here, and he's not a bad player. Don't be put off by the rating. He's actually pretty good considering that rating there. But unfortunately, he wasn't good enough. He did get hit pretty hard by two players at once in a pretty well coordinated attack, and we did lose that flank, which then led to Novelty, which was my other teammate, tapping out, and then it was basically game over. But it was pretty fun. I was random and I got picked as the Seleucids, which is again my favourite team in 0AD. Maybe not the strongest team, but I certainly do enjoy playing the Seleucids. And I really enjoyed this game. I thought it would be very good to do a replay on it, because we can take a look. I was going to do it from the perspective of Hannibal Barca, or at least keeping a close eye on Hannibal Barca. I'll probably stay in observer rather than swapping to his view of the game, simply because I want to really showcase what a high-level player can do with something like an early cavalry rush. And take a look at his build order, and maybe give you guys an idea of what to expect from quite experienced players that utilise this strategy. And it might give you an idea of how you might go about countering it. As I said, I eventually did begin to push the tables on him. It was a pretty difficult fight, but I think at the end of it we did start to win, at least on my flank. So yeah, let's go into the replay. Now, I will just be leaving the replay at normal speed, so it will be a 40-minute video. For those of you guys that are thinking, oh, do I really want to watch a replay that's going to be that long? Yep, it will be 40 minutes. So, here we have, in the left, here is me playing as the Seleucids. We have in our pocket, we have Novelty, who is playing the Seleucids as well. Yes, he's also playing Seleucids. And then on the corner here, we have Temic playing as Sparta. In the top right, we have Sturm MG playing as Rome, and on the pocket for our opponents, we have the Britons being played by Map KOC, and over here on the left flank is Hannibal Barca. So I'm really going to try and focus on Hannibal here, because yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting. I think Hannibal must have started by training a cavalryman to help him gather chickens. He pops his first 5 women, and he has only one building a house. He hasn't built a farmstead, and he hasn't built a storehouse. I generally go with farmstead and storehouse, just to reduce travel time for woodcutting and things like that. But yeah, he decided to go with cavalry into 5 women. And now he's training more cavalry as soon as he has the resources for that. And really building up more houses. Which is interesting, it's very interesting. I think going cavalry, it's probably because he saw these sheep. I will just quickly swap over to Hannibal's view. So he saw these sheep, and probably these deer over here as well, so he's probably planning on gathering those quite quickly. So he's got 3 cavalry out now, and he goes for another 5 women. Which is pretty interesting, and another 5 women after that, so that's 2 cavalrymen and 15 women that he's trading. He only has the 1 woman building houses, which is another interesting thing to note. And he's quite heavily trying to cut this wood line, this small patch of trees down that starts near his base. Probably to save on building a storehouse. Though it is a little inefficient, and because he doesn't have a storehouse, he won't be able to click up woodcutting upgrades and things like that quite so quickly. His cavalry are going quite far afield to actually hunt, which is pretty interesting. Might be a good idea. He's getting his first storehouse up in the back here. See, I made the mistake, and this is probably what cost me quite a lot in terms of my early economy. As you can see, from my perspective, I built on my forward wood line. And that's because I accidentally, when my teammates were telling me their positions, I said that I was in sort of 8. Novelty said he was in 6. And then Temic didn't say where he was for about 5 minutes, and then he said he was in 3, or, well, like sort of 4 o'clock. And I thought I was in the pocket and Temic was up here. But I did scout it at this point and realised that Hannibal was up here. But I've already sort of committed quite a lot to this forward wood line. In fact, I'm already building a barracks here as well. So that was a little bit of a mistake on my part, and you will see that actually hurts my economy quite a lot once this cavalry rush gets started. Okay, so we can see Hannibal went for 6 cavalry, and then he's getting another 5 women. The cavalry really just making up his early food economy, since he doesn't have a farmstead. He's not gathering these berries particularly quickly. He's currently got 6 women on that. I believe these 5 women will... Oh, they're going to go for woodcut as well. And he's getting... now he's popping 5 Roman cavalry. And he's getting a farmstead up here for the apple trees and all these berries over here. Which is a pretty good idea, though... I don't think he could see that at the start of the game, so it's fair enough that he's only just building a farmstead now, but had he have built the farmstead earlier, he could have got the berry picking upgrade, which is very cheap in terms of wood, only 100 wood, and it does increase your berry picking, or your fruit foraging rate by 50%, which is pretty significant. So yeah, I would like to see him click that up pretty quickly. He does manage to catch my scout that rode straight through his base. But it did give me an idea that he was going into cavalry. Now, I did expect him to go to cavalry because he is playing Rome. He has housed himself here, so he did forget to build a house for a little bit. We've got just 9 cavalry coming out now. I think he's just going to do a bit of scouting. No, he's just gathering from some more sheep, which he should be able to eat these sheep up very, very quickly. With just the 9 cavalry. I think cavalry carry 20 food. Yeah, so you need 5 cavalrymen to completely sort of strip hunt an animal. Most normal animals on the map will have about 100 food. So if you've got 5 cavalrymen, it can be pretty efficient for hunting animals because they'll completely harvest the animal and bring it back to a storehouse. So he got his next house up. He got a couple up just to make sure he doesn't house himself in the future. He's building a forward barracks here, which is probably a good idea because this is going to be his sort of frontal wood line. Might have got that up a bit faster personally because I believe I've already got mine. So if we just take a quick comparison of population, I do have a higher population right now. I'm currently training some spearmen. Now I didn't really have any hunt, as you can see. No hunt around me, no extra berries. Pretty poor. in that sort of terms. I'm getting another barracks down here just to use up my starting stone before I have to go mine some more. I believe I'm now going to train a few javelineers to go onto stone, just to get my stone income to be somewhat. They're going over to the wood line right now. But they will eventually start going onto stone because I'll need that to really get some more barracks going and get my war economy rolling. Hannibal, oh, he's starting to move his cavalry down. Yeah, okay, so he moves in with 14 cavalry, which is really all you need to do good damage. And from my perspective, he comes in on the wood line. I do spot it, but I only have about 15 units ready to fight him off. Now, these are spearmen, so they will do quite a lot of damage to these cavalry, and I think he realises that and starts to pull out. Because the cavalry are a lot more expensive, and thankfully I do have some houses ready to garrison my women in, but they all tried to garrison the same house, which is, I think that was me just telling them to garrison. Now, Hannibal does lose a few cavalry here. He doesn't do too much damage, but I think he's going to pop another 5 cavalry here, and he's just popped another 5 here, and he's going to just keep forcing them into my base wherever he can. But they're not contributing to his economy right now. I think that's something a lot of people forget whilst you know, really focusing on those early cavalry rushes, is that you don't have as strong an economy. We have a few units idling here by the barracks. He should have got a storehouse up here and started... Well, I would have got a storehouse up here and started pushing woodcutters there. As you can see, Hannibal gets right into my main base. 20 women already have garrisoned the town centre, so they are now going to try and garrison the houses. He's going to catch a few more out. I think after this attack, I move pretty much all of my women to go onto farms. Thankfully, Novelty does come in with his own javelin cavalry to help me defend against this attack. Hannibal has lost quite a few cavalry, but he's constantly building more. Now, I did get another barracks down here, but my wood, he does hit me at a bit of an awkward time where I've spent most of my wood already. So I have to get these units back onto woodcutting as soon as I can. From an observer point of view, we can see Hannibal is currently pushing Novelty's javelin cavalry out, and we can see that the Britons in the back are bringing some cavalry in. And I should think, has Rome... No, it's interesting that Sturm MG on the flank here isn't actually training those many cavalry, but the Britons are bringing in some javelin cavalry, pushing them down towards Novelty's base, which is a pretty nice base layout. It should keep his economy fairly well defended, but I think a mistake that pretty much our entire team made was building our wood lines forward. We should have been building wood lines on the back. I mean, if you're going to go cavalry or go heavy on cavalry, it's not so much of an issue because you have more of a mobile defense. But in this case, where I've built this forward wood line against, what, 30 cavalry now? He's really just churning them out as often as he can. And just trying to really pressurize my economy. He does manage to capture this barracks, which is, yeah, I have to pull all of my men back because they just can't win that fight. So I do lose this barracks, and he does delete that pretty much immediately. Yep, there you go. But thankfully I do have a barracks down here as well. So whilst that is pretty painful for my economy right now, and I do decide, since he's going to be sending more cavalry at me all the time, I should probably build some sentry towers. So I get a sentry tower up here, and I think I build another one over here. Just to give me a little bit of extra garrison capabilities and just really get my defences up for this cavalry onslaught that keeps coming. So you can see his economy is not really going too much further. He's aging up to age 2, which will make his units a little bit harder to kill. It does give a health bonus. I don't think I've currently hit age 2 yet. No. So yeah, all citizen soldiers gain 20% max health. And all your buildings get 7 regen for your units inside of them. I think now he's going to hit my backwood line, which is pretty sparse on units right now. I do notice this in garrison. Yeah, there we go. Not quite in time. I'm going to lose more women, but it's just... I think, from playing this game, I've really tried to think of what strategies I would employ to really fight off cavalry rushes like that. And I honestly think, like, timing-wise, this is about 10 minutes in that you get hit really hard by cavalry. About 7 minutes you get hit fairly hard, but not too hard. And I think, honestly, the best thing to do is to utilise palisades. Because Palisades, I know you need your wood early on to get those citizen soldiers rolling out, but honestly speaking, all you really need is a few more seconds before the cavalry actually can reach your people to really stop them from damaging your economy that hard. He is going to pick up a few more kills over here, but my town centre is currently still firing arrows at them. So we did get quite a few cavalry kills there. He is going to nab a house over there, but that's no problem because I've taken quite a lot of casualties in terms of my population. It's just very hard because my population isn't... it's quite a lot of women currently. If we take a look at Hannibal's population, he's got 17 women there, 12 women here. So he's about on 30, but they haven't been attacked yet. Now, I think I said to Novelty that he should use his cavalry to attack Hannibal, because he's currently using his cavalry to attack me. So that means his base is going to be more or less undefended. But he doesn't do that. I think he's quite busy trying to fight the Britons off, but he himself is also trying to really get that cavalry economy going. Or cavalry army. It's quite useful that our pocket has decided to go into cavalry, simply because it gives him a lot of mobility in who he can support and when he can support them. I start to build another barracks in the south here, just so to really push my economy onto this wood line as opposed to up there. Building a few more houses down here just to make sure I don't get pop capped. And Temik has sent me some food. I don't know why he did that. I didn't ask for it, that's for sure. But at this point, I think this is where I really start to get my economy back on track. So as you can see, that was a pretty nasty attack. Like, we took some quite heavy casualties during that fight. But we did manage to kill some of Hannibal Barca's early cavalry as well. How is he over the pop limit? Did he lose a house? I don't see him losing any houses. Huh, that's odd. Well, now he's having to desperately build some more houses. So this is one thing. He's focused so hard on getting this cavalry raid going. These men aren't even garrisoned in the town centre to heal them up. So that's a mistake there. But he's focused so hard on getting this cavalry raiding going that his economy is actually fairly weak in terms of his other resources. Like, he has no mining currently. He's got very little mining anyway. Yeah, there we go. There's the cavalry being garrisoned for the regeneration. That's good. Since he is phase 2, he should actually be building a temple. But because he doesn't have the stone to do that, he may now trade some food for stone to be able to do that. It's not that the town centre doesn't heal them quickly. It doesn't heal them fast enough. Again, with raiding, you want to keep pressure up. And I think he's going to lose a lot of his pressure now because his cavalry are currently stuck in his town centre. Novelty comes in with his javelin cavalry, and because Hannibal's cavalry are currently quite wounded, I don't think he can keep the defence up. But Novelty should be going in here. Hannibal's cavalry are all wounded. And Novelties are all pretty much at full strength. So I think he would win this engagement, even against Lancers. But he decides to pull back, and I think it's because he's noticed that the Britons are coming in with about 30 cavalry as well. So our team is really feeling the brunt of 2 players' cavalry, really rocking the cavalry quite hard. As you can see, my economy is now starting to get back up to its old level. Novelty really has the strongest population right now, which is no surprise. He is our pocket player. But he has also been receiving quite a few raids. So it's actually quite impressive that he's managed to hold on that far. He's taking a lot of casualties here against these javelin cavalry though, which is pretty nasty. But his own cavalry come in and start to push them away. He will win this engagement but the Britons aren't going to stay. These women who are currently cutting wood, how many farms has he got? 9 farms? I think 9 farms is pretty overkill for a 150 pop game. Not going to lie. I think you could probably get away with 6, maybe 7 or 8. I mean, I'm only using, what? I mean, he has got almost max population, so he has been booming his economy up in that regard. But one of my highest resources that I continuously keep throughout the game is food. At least at this stage of the game, and I only have 6 farms, and I don't think they're even fully staffed. No, they are fully staffed now. But yeah, I've only got 6 farms, and I'm keeping up on food just absolutely fine. I probably ought to build a couple more, but unfortunately my berries were here, which means my farmstead, my early farmstead, is up in the front of my base. So I don't want to build farms there. It will be too hard to defend. I can see Novelty's bringing in his cavalry to chase the Britons away. The Britons aren't going to find anything to hit in my base because I've moved my economy over here and over here, which I shouldn't have moved it. I should have had this should have been here already. I should have never bothered with this wood line. That was a big mistake by me, not identifying where my opponents would be. Still trying to heal up those lancers. Now that the Britons have arrived, I think they're going to group up and come back in for another attack. But this time, Hannibal's not going to find anything to hit in my base. And his 20 cavalry are going to have a bit of a trouble fighting my my very large units of infantry now. I have over 60 men, maybe 70 if you include here. He does pick off a few women when they first hit my borders, but that's pretty much all he gets. So he gets like 2 women there. I've now just hit town phase, so all my units got their HP upgraded. So this is a really bad engagement to take if he does decide to stay. I don't think he will though. He's going to back out again. So yeah, as far as... Oh, and his economy is being hit really hard. Wow. So Novelty really struck him when he was abroad, which is going to really... Yeah, so Hannibal's now dropped down below 100 population again. So this would probably explain why Hannibal had to pull his attack back. I mean, he couldn't really engage me. So not only does he have to pull back so he can't engage me, because his cavalry are just not going to have that much of an effect, but also he's being raided quite hard by Novelty. I think the Javelin cavalry are going to really kick up some damage here. He's actually turned the alarm off, the town alarm, so his women are now working again, which is a bit of a mistake because he lost a large number of them here. There you are. Map is currently giving Hannibal a lot of wood, but he doesn't need it. He's got plenty of wood already. What he really needs is get his mining going, because he can't get to age 3 without mining more. And especially with a team like Rome, where your barracks cost stone, you do need to start mining stone quite early on in the game. As far as the other flanks are going, Temik is just happily playing Sim City over here. So is Sturm MG. Sturm MG really playing Sim City, building that huge wall of defences out of his buildings, and building a lot of towers as well. He's even garrisoning them. He's using a lot of his economy just garrisoning these towers. Which, I'm not going to lie, this is actually a pretty good... He's even got some healers. He's actually got a really strong defensible location with which to launch his raids from. This is actually really nice. I like this layout. I may take this as part of my inspiration for making an anti-cavalry rush sort of strategy when I expect my opponent will use that. My base is currently now back up to full swing. I've got this guard tower upgraded here. I'm building another one over there. I think I get another one in this wood line here to just really keep this protected. I'm trading wood for some metal and stone. I believe that's so I can age... not to age up, to get another building going. So yeah, I've got plenty of wood coming in. Really getting my population close to the maximum cap. I think my plan now is to go for age 3 and then start getting some of my better units. So Hannibal is currently being sent practically all the resources from map KOC. His lancers take a huge hit invading Novelty here, so he doesn't have those many left on the field. If we look at his total population, you can see it's 40 women, and then a bit of a mix between the Triarius and the Velets. Really now, I think it's who can get to phase 3 first. I believe Hannibal, even though he hasn't gone very, he didn't go into mining very early on, he will hit phase 3 before me, simply because his allies are sending him the resources he needs to get to phase 3. He's also cutting a hell of a lot of wood, which he should probably trade, and really crash the market for wood. You may see me do that in a little bit, because I realise that I'm also gathering a hell of a lot of wood. which I don't really need right now. No, I'm sending my allies some wood because I think they needed it. They said that they were running a bit low. So we take a look at Temik. Yeah, the 500 wood I sent him wasn't too bad. Yeah, there we go. He's buying food with his wood. That's interesting. Temik is currently going to age 3. Novelty's also going to age 3. And I'm trading... Yeah, I traded some wood for food, but it was a bit late there. So our team does manage to hit age 3 first, and it does look like our economies are generally a lot better. Because we've gone more into the citizen soldiers as opposed to the cavalry. Which 2 of our opponents have done. We can see Novelty going in for another cavalry raid there. Not too bad. Let's see how much damage this can do. Now, Map KOC has used most of his cavalry already in his own raids, so that we might see quite a lot of damage here. But he's engaging his miners, which is probably not the best idea. If he had have scouted this back wood line... Oh, there's actually 50 Celtic Spearmen over there, so there's no way that he could hit them. Yeah, he hasn't really got anywhere he can hit. So cavalry raiding has sort of become not an option anymore. He should also, if you wanted to actually be really efficient, you'd get 1 javelinier to just break this foundation down. Because it would, yeah, they wouldn't be able to refund the full stone cost for that. So the Celts do manage, or the Britons do manage to push this raid out. Yep, we can see Rome here, as Hannibal is currently now advancing his way. He literally snakes buildings all the way down here to start building fortresses and things at this side of the map. I think he's getting a blacksmith up there. This is an odd place to put his blacksmith. Pretty dangerous placement. Your blacksmith obviously being very important, I probably would have just grabbed, say, like 5 of these miners and just got them to build the blacksmith over here. And then built another storehouse for this metal or whatever. But that, yeah, I think that's probably a bit risky to put his blacksmith there. I mean, my blacksmith is it is at the front as well, but so's my market. I really should have placed my market down here. Building placement is obviously very, very important. I think that was me trading wood for age up. Yes, it was. So I traded wood for age up, and now I'm currently aging up. So our entire team is going to hit to age 3 before our... I think Map KOC is age 3. Sturm is currently age 3, and I think Hannibal was the only one who got to age 3. Yeah, the last person to hit to age 3. I think that's mostly because, again, if you're training a lot of citizen cavalry, you're going to find... Oh, there's another large number of Javelin cavalry over here. I think that's generally because if you're going to go into cavalry raiding early on, you will find that your mining economy is going to be a lot weaker, and because of that you're going to find it hard to build those advanced buildings like the temples and such, which you need to hit age 3. Now this depends on what team you're playing, obviously, which dictates like the costs of your temples, whether they cost wood or stone, and how much stone and things like that. But yeah, certainly I think that's probably a case of his early cavalry focus that meant that it took him a bit longer to get there. So what we can see here, we do have Novelty has gone for Antiochus the Great, which is pretty good for these Javelin cavalry, not gonna lie. That's going to boost their attack significantly. Javelin is having some of the highest base damage in the game. Antiochus himself is going to be pretty hard to kill. He's drawing the Javelin fire of over 20 cavalry. As long as Novelty doesn't lose him, he should be okay. But Sturm's brought in reinforcements, so I think this engagement will be lost by Matt, or by Novelty rather. Sparta is bringing some reinforcements, but it's not really going to, it's just a few Javelineers, they're only going to tickle that large mass of cavalry. And I think Antiochus the Great has gone down, yeah, so he's lost that damage bonus on his cavalry. If I quickly check his upgrades, I might be able to see how many... Yeah, so he's currently grabbing the damage upgrade for his cavalry. He's got the 2nd level damage upgrade for his cavalry, but he's now getting a 1st level armor upgrade. Now, what was happening... Sorry, it's hard to keep tabs on everything's going on around the map, but yeah. We can see Map KOC is pulling out. Novelty is bringing his cavalry over to my flank because I scouted that Hannibal is making a large push. With pretty much everyone, he's making a pretty hefty push here. He hasn't actually got any blacksmith upgrades yet. I am currently grabbing cavalry upgrades for melee cavalry. As you can see, I'm going to build a fortress here. I was planning on going into cataphracts because I thought if he wants to play the cav game, then my cataphracts will beat his citizen cavalry. But it turns out that Hannibal decided to really bring in all of his soldiers. There's almost 100 men here, and it is 150 pop cap. But Novelty manages to catch this back group with his cavalry. I engage. It's not my full force that I'm engaging with. I still have all my miners and such over here. But they will make their way over as a second line of units. Thankfully, since we split Hannibal's force up, I think this will be a pretty... I think this is a pretty costly victory, nevertheless. But we do win. So we do have that advantage. His cavalry are really not making that much of an impact in this fight, simply because, yeah, they're getting bogged up by all the spearmen that I have. Now, spearman versus spearman does become a fight of basically who's got the most spearmen. So the fight is going to be decided on the javeliniers here, at least in terms of who's dealing the most damage. And because Hannibal has no current upgrades for his infantry, and I don't either, this is a pretty bog standard fight just to see who wins. But yeah, Novelty has managed to finish off Hannibal's force over here, and he has managed to re-recruit Antiochus the Great. I believe I'm now recruiting Antiochus as well. There we go, there's Antiochus the Great coming out there as well. And he's just going to ride in and start killing some of Rome's javeliniers for us. As you can see, my population has plummeted below 100. Pretty nasty for me. However, Hannibal is now below 80. So there's quite a significant population gap here. And I'm not satisfied. This victory needs to be pushed. Our advantage needs to be pushed. Novelty decides to pull his cavalry out. Which is, I think he pulls them out to come help Temic over here, Temic 5. And we can see a pretty, yeah, bit of a mistake that, again, I said a lot of Sparta players make. We have Leonidas here. Yep, Leonidas the spear hero. What unit has did Sparta have? Sparta had a lot of Skiritai commandos. Skiritai commandos don't do very well against cavalry. They do work against these rams, like, don't get me wrong, they would be very useful for fighting for killing these rams. But Sturm has just brought in all of his javeliniers, and the Britons are bringing in all their javelin cavalry, and we pick Leonidas, which is the complete wrong hero to use if you're training lots of Skiritai. Skiritai are going to be useful for getting rid of these rams. He needs to focus these rams now, but I think his base is in complete disarray. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, you can see my men have made a push on Hannibal. I'm bringing some of his houses down. I'm hoping to bring his population cap below 150, which I have managed to do, and I think I get another 3 or 4 houses down before he can stop my men. So these houses are going to go down in just a second, unless I forget. I do notice this Roman encampment going up, and I do try and block it, but I think it's a bit too late. But we have knocked Hannibal Barca's pop cap down to 125. So he's going to have to make a lot of... he's garrisoned men inside of his barracks to stop me from capturing them, which is a correct play. But his units are not going to... Antiochus just cleaning up some women over here. He kills women in one hit, so as you can see, just bam, woman dies, bam, another woman dies. And he's not garrisoning his people. So this is basically 3 kills for me, and I got plenty of his houses down. So losing this engagement down here, and then focusing his economy on building a forward military encampment, has cost him. This has certainly cost him quite a lot. And now he's forced to garrison units inside this encampment to make sure it doesn't flip over to my loyalty, since he has built it in my borders. My economy did take a bit of a hit, having to pull off most of my men to fight that battle. but we're still doing okay on resources. And this is really the part of the game where the tables have been turned. Despite the very powerful cavalry rush early on in the game, Hannibal is starting to fall off. Antiochus still causing mayhem behind the lines, just killing as many women as he can. My javeliniers might be able to get... I thought I might be able to get a few more houses, but I don't want to risk it. Let's just turn around and fight and just get as many kills as we can before this inevitable attack is over. We do get a couple more Velae there. Hannibal's still dropping in population, and not many people working right now. He has a huge surplus of food, but he's used up all of that wood, and he's going to have to build a lot more houses. He needs to get another 4 or 5 houses down to really make up his population loss. He's getting a lot of barracks on the front line, and he's trying to build battering rams. You can see he got 1 ram towards my fortress. And this was another mistake for me. Obviously, Rome is going to build quite a lot of rams. Rams are very effective siege weapons, and I thought to myself, I should go into cataphracts to defeat his cavalry. But he's now transitioned from using cavalry to going into an infantry-based army. And I should be countering that by, rather than building the cataphracts, I should be building the Romanized swordsmen. That way we could deal with his rams, because unfortunately the Seleucids don't have access to any sword-based infantry or cavalry. So we really have to make use of those Romanized swordsmen if I want to get rid of these rams. My other alternative is using war elephants. War elephants will knock rams down really quickly because rams don't have that much crush armor. So a war elephant would certainly be ideal here. I should have really pressured him at this point, but I think I was too busy trying to get my men healed up, because a lot of them have taken quite a lot of damage. We need to repair the fortress for the next attack. He's building a few guard towers, but I've got my own guard towers, so we're a bit even in that respect. He's popping 10 Triarius, and then I think he's going to attack with, yeah, he's even paying for champion units on his barracks, which I think is a big mistake. That's a lot of metal, when really he should be trying to get these fortresses up. Because, yeah, the fortresses are going to allow him to train champion units on the front line anyway, and spending 1,000 metal just to be able to train them from the barracks, that's 10 champion units for that upgrade. I would rather have 10 champion units, especially in a 150 pop game. So as we can see, he's now realised that he's now housed. Is he going to build any houses? I'm not sure, but his economy is in complete disarray. He hasn't put more people on wood. He's relying on trade to really trade for those resources. But I think at this point, he's kind of just trying to really slow me down, because one of our allies has already been knocked out. Yeah, there's a reason I wasn't really talking about this side, because unfortunately, even with all of Novelty's aid, Temic basically, yeah, he's lost most of his units. I think he has a few left. And I did say to him, bring what units you have down to the corner here, between me and Novelty, and you can start a new base here. It's not much, but he would have this wood line. He'd get that fruit tree he can quickly gather. He's got some stone over here as well. If he grabbed the Diaspora upgrade at his marketplace, if he built a new marketplace, which obviously he would, then he could use our drop sites as well. So really that's what he should be doing. But yeah, I think he just threw all of his men in defense of his base, and now he has no base. That was not an attack he could really win. As you can see, Canobel in here with the Britons, really giving the Britons some solid staying power. But yeah, quite a lot of Dahe horse archers coming out now to make use of those ranged cavalry upgrades. Seleucus the Victor comes in, trying to knock down some rams. I think he deliberately picked Seleucus the Victor to deal with the rams that were incoming. Unfortunately, he's going to lose his expansion over here, I imagine. Not necessarily. He might be able to beat this off, actually, because they are currently just attacking the expansion. They're not trying to capture it. And this fortress does have 11 men in it, constantly shooting arrows out. So they're all very, very wounded. Map KOC is going to take a lot of casualties defeating this forward expansion. And now that Novelty's horse archers have come in, he really needs to decide whether he needs to pull back or engage, he turns on this war elephant, but he's losing more and more men to the arrow fire from the colony and the fortress, so he's taking a lot of casualties and he's not making any ground, which is a real disappointment for him and his allies. But I believe Novelty's going to tap out fairly soon because he doesn't feel like we stand much of a chance now that Temic's out of the game. But what's happening over here, back in my corner, we have Hannibal's still only sitting at 80 population. He's only built one extra house since the rest got knocked down. His economy is just in shambles. He's got no woodcutters still. So I really feel like he may have just decided that... Oh, he's being sent a lot of wood by Sturm MG. So yeah, that will probably be making up. Yeah. And he used that to get some more rams out. He got another ram out to come in and attack this tower here. I think he may get this tower in time. He does see me bringing some units in, but I do believe he gets that tower. He did manage to knock down one of my fortresses, as you can see, but I quickly build another one. So we have another fortress up. I think I've got 3 cataphracts currently. It's quite difficult for me to get my champions rolling because I'm always having to deal with rams coming out of this encampment and just really ruining my day, which sucks. But Antiochus is disrupting his construction of this fortress, and I believe it's about to be time where I decide enough is enough. Let's pop some war elephants. Yeah, we're getting a swordsman and then a couple of war elephants, and we're going to try and push. We're going to try and stop this fortress from going up, which I should be able to do actually without too many issues. Antiochus himself knocking that down pretty swiftly, getting another tower up there. But really, we're going to push and try and remove this fortress, and then really focus our attention on trying to knock this this Roman encampment down using the war elephants, which is gonna make a pretty large difference. So we deny this fortress, which is great. And I believe Hannibal may... Nope, he doesn't have enough stone to get another one up. So because he's got no miners now either, he's having real difficulty bringing in those resources that he needs to really fight this battle. My men, I can't quite capture the encampment because it's got too many garrisoned inside of it. So its loyalty is not going down, even with my champions in the fight. So I decide enough is enough, don't want to lose too many men hitting a fortified encampment. Let's just knock it down. Let's make sure that we get those war elephants rolling in and just wipe that out. Siege weapons are integral right now. I send Temic some food, but I literally don't think he's got any units now. He's literally just got some traders. Oh no, he's actually building a new town centre down here. It's going to take him a while. But Temic's not out of the game yet, but I think he does tap out pretty soon, once Novelty taps out. We can see Novelty making some raids on our opponent's trade line. Did lose quite a few units fighting the Britons here, but his cavalry is still in decent shape. Kuno Bellin making sure his cavalry are remaining mobile. Map KOC did take a large hit there. Sturm MG just capturing all of Temic's base, and he's going to start, you know, harvesting this stone here. He's going to get more siege weapons. He's going to really start spewing units into Novelty's flank here. So Novelty's really got the hardest part of the job now, dealing with 2 players. But the fight with me and Hannibal rages on. I get 2 war elephants on the go, and we march in on the encampment. Do we? No, I think I pull the elephant back because it's going to take a bit too much damage. I also decide to build some healers. You can't garrison the elephants inside temples. You can sit them inside their borders, but you can't put them in the temple. So you will need healers to heal those elephants up nice and quickly. So we get an elephant now engaged on the encampment. He pulls all of his men out of the encampment, trying to go for those elephants, but I'm only worried about destroying it. I don't care about these men right now. My war elephant's picking up a few kills on the Velite there. My army turns around, pulling back. We got the encampment. We got our main, what we were aiming for there. So pull the men back, really get my barracks, just chucking as many units as I can out. I think I misrecruited cavalry there, which I didn't want. I am going to lose another elephant, which is a shame. So I lose 2 elephants in that attack. We did get rid of his encampment. his economy is still non-existent. Still no wood. No, he's actually gone back onto wood now. He got some more women to do some more wood cutting. Which is really something that I find quite strange. Novelty, this would have been a lot easier to knock Hannibal out of the game if Novelty hadn't have focused all of his raiding and fighting map KOC here. If he had have sent his javelin cavalry in, he could have killed this entire wood line and shut Hannibal Barca's economy down again. But that's not a problem, because I believe next, yeah, we've got a couple more war elephants coming out. At this point, probably a couple of things went wrong with my strategy. Well, I say just a few, quite a few actually. Should have really got Seleucus, the victor, for my war elephant bonus, since I'm now attacking my opponent's base. Upgrading cavalry, melee cavalry in particular, probably a mistake as well, because I should have been building heavy swordsmen to deal with the battering rams of Rome. But I was planning on going on the attack sooner, so that is a bit of a disappointment there, but it's just how it goes. Trying to get my army healed up as soon as I can. I really ought to get some men garrisoned inside the actual temple, like grab these guys and garrison them. I think I need a bunch more javelineers. I think I lost most of my javelineers. We recruiting some more. No, I think we were just run out of a few resources there. Yeah, and there goes Novelty. Novelty has resigned. He did get attacked by yeah, and he had all of his men committed fighting map KOC over here, which was really a mistake given that this flank was open. So Novelty resigns as soon as Sturm MG brings his forces in on the right flank. At this point, I've basically accepted I can't win a 3v1. But let's just go for it, see what damage we can do. And I think at this point, this is really the stage of the game where if my team was still fighting and we still, you know, were putting up a defense in Temic's base and we were still holding the pocket, then I reckon we could have knocked Hannibal out of the game at this point. We really could have. He pulls all of his men out of the fortress, which means the fortress is now no longer providing quite as much covering fire. The defense towers are still pretty nasty. But the difference in units being committed, we can see. I've got about 40 spears, so about 50 infantry, a couple of war elephants now, Antiochus, where he's got a Scipio Africanus, which is a very odd pick, given that he has such a tiny radius. But there you go, someone is using Scipio Africanus. And then we've got the Bellets and some Italian allied cavalry. But they're going down. They're going down, and this fortress is also going to go down with them. And then this battering ram pops out and starts hitting some units. I think he moves that immediately to go try and ruin my base a little bit, but I should either pop a Romanized heavy swordsman or just get Antiochus to come over there and deal with that. My base is getting trolled right now, so that's where I tap out, because obviously I can't fight both both Sturm MG's army and Map KOC's army whilst also pushing Hannibal out. So unfortunately that is the point we lose. However, as you can see, managed to get through Hannibal's defences. So I think that would have been the point where I pushed to really, you know, knock Hannibal out of the game. So there you have it. Not a bad game at all. As I said, I really enjoyed this game. It was really fun fighting back and forth with Hannibal. Both of us having strong assaults on each other. Hannibal's early cavalry Lancer raid really hitting my front wood line there, doing a serious amount of damage. Later on, a large engagement on the left flank of the map, going in our favour, and then pushing the advantage to really hit Hannibal's economy over here. Not too bad, did quite a lot of damage there. Then really trying to solidify our, you know, unit composition, getting those champions onto the field, getting those siege elephants, sort of trading the front line here between his battering rams and my war elephants, but eventually my army does begin to push through, but that is the end of the game. So whilst I feel, well, it was very well played by their team. If I had to make an overall point on this video in general, the reason I chose this game again to show the sort of early build order of someone going quite heavily into cavalry. I think the real difference in map was he got a lot of hunt and extra berries. My extra fruit foraging is over here. He got a full extra berry line over here. He got a herd of deer there, and he got his sheep a lot closer, and some more deer over there as well. So I believe that Hannibal actually had a lot better starting situation to get cavalry going early on. I will just go through the scoreboard, so you can pause the video and have a look at these if you want whilst I'm talking. But yeah, I think early on there, we get to see Hannibal's build order, which is pretty cool, to see a high-level player using an early cavalry rush, which I've been told is quite prevalent in the current meta of Alpha 22. But as you can see, it's not foolproof. And if you do get hit by quite a powerful cavalry rush, it's not the end of the world. You can pull back, as you saw in that game. You definitely can, and there were a lot of things I could have done better. There was a couple of times where I should have really pushed my advantage, really pressured Hannibal when my units when he was expanding those fortresses against my border. I'd already won an engagement against him. I think I had a stronger economy at the time, so I really should have pushed my advantage and really hit hard, denying those military encampments and that fortress. And I could have probably pushed him out of the game a bit faster. And then maybe gave Novelty a bit more help holding his base. But unfortunately that was not the case. But either way, yeah, it was a good game. Really good game. So I'm happy with that. I'm very happy indeed. Here's the building screen for you guys to take a look at. One thing I will say is, if any of you guys have a replay that you would like me to do a commentary on, please send it to me via email, or I'm now in the 0AD Discord, so I think you might be able to send things through there as well, or a link to like Google Documents or Dropbox or whatever, and I should be able to go get that and do a commentary on it. So if you'd like me to do a commentary on one of your games, and then if you do want me to, just add a little comment in your message regarding what you want me to focus on during the commentary. In this commentary, obviously, we focused mostly on the flank between me and Hannibal, because I think that was quite an interesting. It was a really back and forth, interesting exchange during the game. I thought that was really fun. I could have tried to do a more overall, like looking at all of the teams, and or both teams as a whole, and just from observer. If you'd like me to do that in future, do say. But I think most of my commentary videos, when I am doing when I'm doing my replays of the games I've played, I will generally be taking a look at a particular strategy that happened during the game, or at least looking at it mostly from my viewpoint, and really identifying how I could have improved, and where I could really see a new kind of strategy or a new counter developing in regards to what happened during the game. As far as this game, defending against our early cavalry rush, it can be quite hard. Certainly can be quite challenging. My first initial thoughts are changing my build order in regards to when I start training citizen soldiers. I think the biggest factor to defending against cavalry rushes is choosing your wood line. That is incredibly important. You need to identify where you are on the map in regards to your teammates, and then really sort of knowing where your opponents could be coming from. In my case, it was from the north and the northeast, and I should have been building in my southern wood line the entire time, because it would have made my base so much harder to raid, and I would have had so much more advanced warning to deal with that. But unfortunately, I did misplace that and put it on the front, because originally I thought I was in the pocket, and we were playing west to east, not north to south. So yeah, never mind though, still went pretty good. I really think palisades might be the way forward, even if it only buys you like 10-20 seconds against a large cavalry rush. That's all you need. And if you're a team with archers, then, you know, your opponent doesn't want to stand there taking arrow fire whilst they're trying to knock down a palisade. That's not really efficient. Like, when you're raiding, you really need to make a big effort to hit your opponent's economy and get kills whilst not taking casualties yourself, because you can't really afford to lose a lot in terms of your early forces. It really does make a big difference in your early forces, you know, composition and how much. Ooh, let me just swap that score to military. There we go. Yeah, just in your early composition, you can't afford to lose your cavalry. Cavalry are quite expensive in your food costs. If you're going to build corrals, you need to use them to supplement your food as well. And even if you decide not to go corrals and you're literally just building cavalry to rush your opponent, a lot of that will mean that you need to take less casualties on the attack. Otherwise, you're sacrificing a lot of your military, which is only being used for combat. You have to make sure your exchanges with those cavalry are efficient. If you're making inefficient exchanges, your raids are not going to be worth it. You're not going to damage your opponent's economy enough. And if you don't damage their economy enough, the fact that you're not getting as many women and as many infantry citizens to build your wood stockpiles, your food stockpiles, and your stone and metal up, if you're not doing that, then your opponent is just going to brush off your raid and then build their economy up faster than you if they've gone heavier into infantry. Another thing you have to realize is that in a team game especially, if you're raiding with cavalry and one of your opponents raids you whilst your cavalry are abroad, like we saw with Novelty doing in that game, yeah, like it's going to mess you up. You're going to lose a lot of units to that, like a lot. So that's going to make a huge difference in terms of how the dynamics of the team games go. My best advice for those of you which are sort of like wanted to watch this video to maybe learn some tips on how to, you know, try cav rushing, whether it be with javelin cavalry or lancer cavalry, depending on which team you play, or even archer cavalry if you're playing the Ptolemies. I generally think that if you're in the pocket, which is Novelty in this game and map KOC for the opposing team, the flanks would be obviously the two teams or the two players that are on either side of the map, and the pocket is the player right in the back. I generally think going heavy into cavalry is better if you're in the pocket. A, because you're safer from being raided, because you're right at the back of the map. And also, having a lot of cavalry will allow you to aid both of your flanks if they get attacked. You can respond to that attack with your own cavalry quite quickly. So you do want to be building cavalry if you're in the pocket. I think if you identify that you are in the pocket in a team game, it is better to try to go cavalry. So there's a bit of a mistake by me to focus on getting cataphracts, but I really was expecting Hannibal to build even more cavalrymen, and he didn't. He went full on into siege and infantry. So that was a bit of a misread on my part. But again, there's a few things get my words mixed up. There's a few things that I identified in that game that I could do better. But that's all part of improving as a player. And again, I am coming back into Alpha 22 pretty fresh. So I'm not going to be the best player, as you can see. But that doesn't mean you can't make a big difference in a game. Especially if you focus on really taking a look at your replays, seeing what you could have done better, and really trying to improve yourself as a 0 AD player. Right, that was that replay. I hope you guys enjoyed. It has probably gone on for quite a while. It's probably going to be an hour-long video. So I'm very sorry for those of you that aren't really interested in seeing an hour-long video, but there you are. You can always, I might put some timestamps in the description to just skip to the gameplay. But, I mean, if you got to this part of the video, you probably wanted to read the statistics anyway and hear my thoughts on it. Or maybe you didn't, you've already left. Feels bad, man. But either way, yeah, it was a good game, and I look forward to playing more team games with players like this, higher ranked players, as well as the lower ranked players as well. I'm still getting used to the community. I don't know the skill level of everybody yet, and until I really play with them in a 1v1 situation, I won't get an accurate representation of their skill level. I find in 1v1s you get the best representation, at least of how well someone can play. So I would like to play a lot more 1v1s. Not necessarily rated. If I'm playing with people who are only really interested in playing team games, then I will just have to play more team games with them to see how well they do. But overall, I am really enjoying it. And yeah, I'm hoping to stream again on Tuesday, which will be the 19th of September. I will keep doing commentaries as often as I can. I'm very sorry that I've missed a few days of getting commentaries up. I've been really busy. I did post on the 0AD forums about why that is, but I won't bore you here because we're already running ridiculously over 40 minutes as the mark. So, it's been me, Chaff Commander Coffee. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time, which I will pick another one of these replays to do. I did manage to do another Cyrus Deepstrike, and it was a lot better. So I may show you that as my next commentary that I do, because it was a fun game. It was a fun game. And very sorry to Merkel. That was like his second game since coming back to Alpha 22. And he went up against the Cyrus Deepstrike. Cyrus Deepstrike. It's pretty fun. I will continue to refine that strategy until it is absolutely mint. Anyway, yeah. See you in the next episode. Goodbye.